When you think of the Lexus RX, this vehicle essentially built a reputation for itself for being the ultimate isolation chamber. Remember, this is a luxury SUV designed to shield you from the annoyances of the outside world. However, when Lexus introduced the all-new 5th generation RX in 2023, the company had a few lofty goals in mind: improving the technology, improving the fuel efficiency, and giving this car more of a youthful appearance to bring in a younger audience. Now, Lexus is going to do that, of course, with the introduction of this model. This is the first ever RX 500h F Sport Performance. And what that essentially means is we have the ultimate handling RX paired up with the most powerful production RX ever, courtesy of a 2.4-liter turbo with a hybrid powertrain delivering up to 366 horsepower. So today, as you can see, Lexus has loaned us this beautifully specced out Copper Crest RX 500h F Sport Performance. And the big question I want to answer, for those of you who are looking for the ultimate driving RX, has the company succeeded in building that with this 500h? Stay tuned to find out. Hey guys, I want to interrupt this video for a brief announcement to give a shout out to today's sponsor. Now, most of you probably have known this, but I've been doing these YouTube videos for well over a decade, and while it pains me to admit this, I sadly don't have as much hair on my head as I did back in my early 20s. Now, hair loss is a hereditary thing that literally affects 2 out of 3 guys before they reach the age of 35, and this is where Keeps comes into play because they offer FDA-approved hair loss treatment plans, as well as 2-in-1 options that you can combine to essentially accelerate your results. Those additional options is what I actually enjoy using the most. Keeps offers things like a thickening shampoo, a thickening conditioner, and a thickening styling pomade that I pretty much use every day prior to all of my video shoots. These products are essentially formulated to essentially make your thinning hair appear thicker, and they are formulated by a lot of hair loss treatment experts. The other great thing about Keeps is because they are online, they offer 24/7 support and access to a licensed medical professional through your online portal. So what are you waiting for, guys? Whether you're looking to stop hair loss, stimulate hair growth, or simply take better care of your hair, Keeps has you covered. So big thank you to Keeps for sponsoring this video and for the free product. And to get started on your special offer, be sure to go to www.keeps.com/redline or simply click in the link in the description below. That's www.keeps.com/redline. And now let's get back to the video. So before we start talking about the exterior styling differences of this 500h compared to other RX models, let's go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this thing, because remember, this is the most powerful production version of the RX ever, and what Lexus has done here is they've basically combined a turbo engine with 2 electric motors. Now, underneath this hood, if you guys have been following the newest crop of Toyota and Lexus products, you'll be familiar with this engine. It combines a 2.4-liter gasoline direct injection turbocharged 4-cylinder with 2 electric motors. So there's 1 electric motor at the front and then a more powerful E-axle at the back delivering 80 kilowatts, giving this vehicle standard electronic on-demand all-wheel drive. So there's no physical connection between the front wheels and the gas engine. The rear motor, or the rear axle, is powered solely by that electric motor. It all goes out through a 6-speed automatic transmission, and the power output is a maximum of 366 horsepower combined. The gas engine on its own delivers around 271 horsepower, and you get a maximum of 406 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers are pretty good. This is pretty much on par with something like the Acura MDX Type S. Even BMW's X5 with the 6-cylinder engine delivers pretty similar amounts of power and torque. Now, I mentioned earlier, 6-speed auto. Fuel economy is rated at 27 in the city and 28 on the highway. This vehicle has a 17-gallon fuel tank, and you'll basically go just under 400 miles of range on a full tank. This is not a plug-in hybrid, however. The battery pack is very small, around 1 kilowatts. It can power the vehicle on electric-only power, but at very low speeds at light throttle applications. Lexus claims 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds with a top speed of around 130 miles an hour. We'll test out the 0 to 60 time when we get this vehicle out on the road. The RX is able to tow a maximum of 3,500 pounds, which is pretty good considering it's a hybrid, and as this car sits, it weighs in at just over 4,700 pounds. But let's go ahead and close up this hood as I get rained on. I apologize for the water and how dirty the car looks, but as you guys know, sometimes we have to deal with rain because we're filming outside. But as you can see, the RX's styling language has been around for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years now. And I have to say, this look has definitely grown on me. When Lexus first showed off this car, a lot of people were not so sure about the new spindle body type grille. You can see there's like a big area here where it's actually solid and painted. You can see the F Sport model includes the F Sport specific grille with the intricate L's that create like a mesh finish with the gloss black. My test car for an extra $1,300 has the premium triple beam LED headlights. They're full LED, where you can see you have an LED daytime running light, LED turn signals. There's also some cornering lights and some LED fog lights down here at the lower fascia. Some of the vents are functional, some of them are not. You can see the front splitter has this kind of silver portion down here with the black accents. And this copper crest exterior color is kind of like the halo color for this car. And I have to say, it looks really good. This is the first Lexus that I've had in this color for a week, and a lot of people gave it compliments everywhere I took it. It's a really beautiful color combination, and it works well with the lines of this car. And you don't even have to get the F Sport model to get the copper crest color. Now, moving around the side profile, this is a mid-size two-row luxury SUV, and it's built on the GAK architecture, something that it shares with other Lexus and Toyota products. It has a 112.2-inch long wheelbase with a 192.5-inch overall length. The overall length didn't change compared to the old RX. This car has a longer wheelbase, and it's a little lower and a little bit wider to give it more of an aggressive stance. You can see the wheels. These are the included wheels with the F Sport model. They're a satin black finish double 5-spoke design. It's a 21-inch wheel wrapped in a somewhat skinny 235 by 50 R21 Bridgestone Alenza all-season tire. The F Sport model also includes these F Sport specific brakes. Those are a 6-piston black painted caliper with upsized 15-inch rotors, which definitely give it a nice look, although I kind of wish that Lexus offered the brake calipers painted in the same color, or at least a red or a blue color would have been nice. You can see I also love the painted wheel arch trim here, which looks good. You have just under 8 inches of ground clearance with this car, and you also get the company's adaptive variable suspension, which is standard on this model. And then you also have rear wheel steering, which is definitely a nice feature to have, especially if you guys plan to go, attack your favorite back road. You can see there's an F Sport badge here to let people know you have the Sporty model. Black painted side mirrors. These are power folding, integrated cameras. You also have a panoramic sunroof on my test car that also opens up. That's an extra $500. I also love the black painted roof rails with the black chrome trim going along the side of the vehicle. You can see from this angle, it has the classic RX proportions. And I have to say, this color really does look fantastic. It looks good as it gets rained on as well. That classic floating D-pillar, floating roof design theme is carried over from the previous generation RX. And then you can see here the rear has the newest Lexus design signature styling elements here. So you have the full light blade LED taillights. You can see it's a full LED. It spells out Lexus at the back. There's an RX 500H badge here with Direct 4. That's to let people know it's all-wheel drive with that separate E-axle. No visible exhaust tips. A lot of brands have been going away from that because everything is going electric, so this is an electrified car. I don't love the fake vents that you find here along the side, and if you guys are looking for the rear wiper, it's actually hidden underneath that rear spoiler, along with a camera for the digital camera style rear view mirror. Now, my test car also has the hands-free foot-activated power liftgate. Power liftgate is standard, but the hands-free function is optional. And you can see the RX is a mid-size SUV, and you have just shy of 30 cubic feet of space with the second row seat up, or with the back seat up. That's around 6 more cubic feet of space versus a Lexus NX, because remember, this car is a bigger vehicle. If you want to fold down the seats, you can see my test car has the optional power fold feature for the second row seat. So it also has a power recline, and it also will electrically fold out of the way. When you fold down that seat, it expands the cargo to 46.9 cubic feet of space. Now that 46.9 doesn't seem like a lot on paper. You can see it doesn't create quite a flat floor. In fact, if you're looking at some competitors, the RX has roughly like, I want to say 20 to 30 cubic feet less. This is also about the same max cargo capacity as an NX. So that's kind of where I think Lexus should have really improved the cargo carrying capacity of this car, just to give people, again, more space. I mean, obviously, if you guys don't plan to use or fold down the seats often, this actually does have more space, but maximum cargo is definitely affected compared to competitors. You can see underneath here, there is a temporary spare tire with a really nice, decent-looking wheel look, or alloy wheel design. Your 12-volt battery lives here. You have a jack and, of course, all your tools. A little bit of storage. There's a first aid kit over here, an actual 120-volt power outlet. But overall, you can see if you're looking for maximum cargo, this is where some of the competitors offer way more space. So moving on to the interior of this 2024 Lexus RX 500h. Before we get inside, however, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is the current Lexus Intelligent Access key. It does include usual buttons like lock, unlock, power liftgate, and panic. There's also a remote start from the fob. If you push the lock button 3 times and then hold it on the 3rd try, it'll actually remote start the vehicle for you. And then Lexus also offers their version of their digital key where you can use your cell phone as a key if you're an owner of the vehicle. Now, the RX was one of the first Lexus models to get their digital latch door handles. So you can see the door handles are actually fixed into position. Even though they look like they move, they don't actually move. Touch that little area there, that will lock the doors for you, and then fold the mirrors in. Lexus does not offer a walkaway lock or unlock feature. Touch the back of this and then push this little foam or rubber pressure pad, and that's what opens up the door for you. Now, if you guys want the copper crest exterior in the F Sport model, you can only get it with the black leather interior with the ultra suede accents and these F Sport specific seats. If you guys don't go for an F Sport, Lexus does offer like a macadamia, a light beige interior, or a palomino interior, but not on the F Sport. So I kind of think they need to change that because not everybody wants a black interior. You can only get basically black or the Rioja red leather interior. You can see I love the F Sport badging here in the seat in the headrest. You can see these seats are also heated and ventilated. That's actually standard. The seats adjust in, I believe, 14 different ways with a 3-person memory for the driver's side. And you can see the seat padding material is just extremely plush. The heat and ventilation function works really well. These also hold you in place nicely, and they just make a really great first impression when you get inside. You can see the door panel also has some really nice materials. Lexus has been getting some flack for, kind of downgrading the material quality in their vehicles. Not so with the RX. You can see this upper portion has this nice soft touch injection molded plastic. You have this lovely ultra suede here with the contrast stitching. You have the upgraded 21 speaker Mark Levinson stereo, which is an extra $2,000, I think, or $2,800. It sounds fantastic. If you're an audiophile, you can see nice padded leather over here. You have nice window controls with the one-touch up-down with aluminum accents. You have nice mirror controls. All the buttons have a high-quality tactile feel. This is where you open the door to, get out of the vehicle. And if the power goes out, you can pull on this twice, and that will manually open the door. You can see nice and padded down here, a little bit of storage there, which is nice. And then the F Sport also includes the aluminum side sill with the alloy pedals, which just, again, give you that impression of sportiness. Now, getting inside, you can see the step-in height is nice, thanks to around 8 inches of ground clearance as I shut the door. The door has a nice solid sounding thunk. And then when you want to turn the vehicle on, you can see start stop button is mounted high up on the dash, which I appreciate because it doesn't get blocked by the steering wheel. And then remember, this is a hybrid vehicle and it doesn't have the traditional starter noise. Now, you did hear the engine start up, and I have to say, compared to a 350h, you're going to hear that engine start up most of the time. It just kind of whirs to life. The one thing it doesn't let you do is it doesn't really let you rev the engine, which kind of surprised me how it doesn't let me do that. But you can hear the engine idling away, and you can see my test car also has the heads-up display. There's some nice soft touch injection molded plastic on this upper portion here. You can now hear the engine is still on, but it settles into a nice quiet idle. Padded area over here, you have this dark graphite aluminum trim. The F Sport models take away the wood and give you the alloy trim, which you can also find here on the center console. You can see most RX 500s are going to come with the bigger 14-inch display. Actually, I believe that's standard. The Mark Levinson is optional. It includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. As you can see, my phone is connected, even though I'm filming with my phone. It is still connected. And it looks fantastic. You can see climate stays there at the lower portion, and then your CarPlay is up here. You can also go back to the Lexus native system here, which works, relatively well. This is easy to use. I like the volume knob and the actual 2 tuning knobs and stuff. So that's definitely a nice touch. And then you can see here the steering wheel. This is unique to the F Sport model with the F Sport badging, the dark aluminum graphite trim, paddle shifters. This is part of the Lexus Safety System 3.0. You have these touch sensitive controls, which show you in the heads up display what it actually does. You can also kind of change what it does by pushing this lower button here. That's how you adjust the adaptive cruise and your audio controls. The horn, it sounds decent. It's pretty nondescript, but it also is appropriately sized. You can see there's a lot of piano black plastic here on the actual dash, which this to me kind of looks a little cheap. There's a couple of cheaper materials here, which you're not going to really touch this because it's behind the actual screens, but I do like the way this is integrated, and the 14-inch display I think is an appropriate size given, the class of vehicle this does compete with. Now, in terms of the technology, you can see there is a full 360 surround view camera system. That's where it gives you the perimeter scan. I kind of think that's a somewhat useful or useless display. If I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's your top-down 360 camera. It has front and rear cross-traffic alert and cross-traffic braking. You can see it also has trajectory, parking sensors. It has good graphics and resolution for the camera quality, which is about what you expect. Down here you can see traditional air vents. You have 2 USB-C charging ports. You have that aluminum trim here. Open this up, you can see your wireless phone charging pad is there, and it works reliably every time, even when my phone is in a case. You can see more storage. You have 2 more USB charging ports. You can also connect it to a USB-A if you don't want to use the wireless function that controls the CVT. I'm sorry, the 6-speed auto. It's very much the same shifter from like a Prius, for example. You can see there's some piano black plastic trim. I also appreciate how this is the aluminum that doesn't show fingerprints and smudges. You also have kind of like a trail mode here for the all-wheel drive system, along with electronic parking brake, a hold feature, padded center console, and then you can see this opens up in both directions to allow you to, access this from either the driver or the passenger side. You can push this button here that raises the level of that cup holder in the front part, which is a nice touch. And then you can see, looking at the digital camera rearview mirror, this is included with this model. You can see you can go back to a regular mirror if you'd prefer. I love that feature, along with the seats, which are comfortable and supportive, like I said. You can see there's also some mouse fur, or like a nicer material here that's kind of like an ultra suede, but not quite an ultra suede. And then this panoramic sunroof also opens up to vent air, and it also has a retractable shade. The ambient lighting in this car is also much improved from other Lexus models. There's actually an ambient light strip across the dash where you can change the color. I have it on afterglow right now, and it definitely looks nice, although it's not quite as intricate as what you're going to find from some of its European rivals. The glove compartment you can see here is damped and lined with felt. It's a pretty decent size, but overall the interior definitely has the luxury and the space and the visibility and the technology that you expect. I just wish that this right here was a fully digital display. This is only a 7-inch cluster with kind of like some analog dials there, or analog, information readouts. So once Lexus eventually puts the full digital display that they have in like the TX and the GX, it'll certainly improve the technology aspect of this vehicle. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat. I want to show you guys the space back here really quick. You can see the back seat of this car offers around 37.5 inches of legroom. That's around an inch more versus what you get in the NX, so it does give you a little bit more space. You can see the back seat materials have a soft touch injection molded plastic, more of that ultra suede, the Mark Levinson stereo, nice and padded here, and also padded down here. What you don't get, however, are the retractable sunshades, or the peasant blockers, as I like to call them. You get that with the luxury trim, not available on the F Sport models. You can see the rear seat also has a power recline function, which is part of an option package, I believe, for like an extra $900. It also includes heated and ventilated seats back here with the ultra suede and the perforations and the real leather, which is nice. As I get in, you can see this is where essentially I'd have the front seat to drive. Shut the door, you can see good foot space. I can kind of stretch my legs out and get comfortable back here. I also have rear seat air vents. I have heated and cooled seats, like I said, which is a nice feature. You don't even find that in some European competitors. 2 USB-C charging ports, a 3-zone climate control function, which is nice. You have storage cubbies in each of the front seats. And then you also have an armrest that folds down with a storage cubby and actual cup holders here. So that's all very, very nice. In terms of the headroom space, you can see with the seat slightly reclined, my head gets somewhat close to this, and that's because of the lower roofline of the RX does eat into the headroom space, and this panoramic sunroof also does the same thing. But it is nice how it comes all the way into the back seat here. That's an extra $500. I think it's kind of worth it if you're going to go for this car. So overall, the backseat area is not the most roomiest in this segment, but it definitely has more space than the NX. I love the fact that you can get heated and ventilated seats back here, and it's just overall a pretty nice place to spend time if you're going to put 2 more adults back here. So the Lexus RX has always been many things, many luxurious things, but sporty, that has never really been the case for an RX. And this all-new Fit generation is kind of showing the first model designed to appeal to more driving enthusiasts, specifically with this 500h F Sport performance. And I have to say, it's been about a year and a half since I drove this car, and the last one that I drove was a very early pre-production car. So now we've got a full production car. It's, the next model year, and this model still has, of course, the 2.4 liter turbo 4-cylinder paired up with 2 electric motors, delivering 366 horsepower. Now, that power figure makes it the most powerful production RX that Lexus has ever built, which is honestly, it's good power on paper. It's a little bit more versus something like the Acura MDX Type S, although I guess that car could also compete with the Lexus TX 500h. So let's go ahead and see what we can get 0 to 60 wise on our usual stretch of road. I think I got 5.7 seconds the last time I tested this car. It's in sport mode. We'll just floor it. Feels really strong off the line because of that electric motor. Wow, we just got 5.44 seconds. So that's around 0.3 seconds quicker than the last RX 500H that I tested. And honestly, that number is around a half a second faster than what Lexus claims. Lexus claims 5.9 seconds. And compared to the plug-in hybrid version, which I actually tested last week, this car is also about a half a second faster. It's like 0.5 seconds, so close enough. But still, that time is actually pretty impressive. I would definitely say that's the quickest accelerating time I've ever seen for a Lexus RX. And it really, you know, shows that Lexus is serious about performance. And the beauty about this powertrain is the fact that it does have that electric motor helping it out, because it makes the car feel a lot faster, especially from a dead stop. But let's just try it here again one more time. It actually spins the front tires out slightly. Because of that 6-speed auto, you feel gear shifts, and it's a pretty good transmission as well. 5.66 there. That's with it more going slightly uphill. I did try brake torquing it. It actually makes it worse. So really, don't brake torque it, just floor it from a stop. The electric motor basically provides all the torque down low instantly. And then once that electric motor power runs out, because remember, the rear electric motor offers 80 kilowatts, you have the gas engine that takes over. And that's what essentially removes any of the lag, because typically with these turbocharged engines, you have lag right off the line as you wait for the turbo to spool up. Not so the case with this car, because you have that instant electric motor torque, and then you also have, you know, the turbo kicking in later on. Now, the other great thing about this new RX is the fact that Lexus was serious about making this car feel more like a driver's car. So we have the standard F-Sport adaptive variable suspension. And we also have active rear wheel steering. I think the rear wheels turn either 2.5 or 5 degrees. So that helps, again, improve the handling. You have sport tuned dampers. You have a quicker steering ratio. I have to say, the steering in this car is relatively quick and precise. The body still feels pretty flat. Even in sport mode here, I actually wish it was a little bit stiffer, but that's what, you know, Lexus is trying to also preserve the ride quality. But this thing actually shrinks as you start finding your favorite corners and you start chucking it into that turn. It actually turns in relatively sharply. The steering offers a little bit of feedback, although you get a sense of the soft suspension tuning, which doesn't always inspire much confidence, but still, it's surprisingly good. If you guys are coming from, you know, the old RX, this is such a huge night and day difference. And then because of that rear E-axle, this thing actually feels like it'll push the rear end out, because it actually has some decent power going to the rear axle, unlike the 350H and the 450H Plus, which have a very, you know, weak outputted rear electric motor, although weak is relative. I think it offers like 53 horsepower. This offers like 100 or almost 100 horsepower at the rear axle. So it's a noticeable improvement. And it makes this car pretty fun to drive. It weighs 4,700 pounds, but to be honest, it feels relatively nimble and, you know, sure-footed going around corners. So if you're looking into like replacing your Lexus GS or your Lexus IS, this is actually a pretty viable replacement, especially if you need to go into an SUV, if you need to get that SUV practicality and that, you know, elevated seating position. It's actually spinning the back tire there. I heard it slightly as I put my foot down. And then there's the sound of this engine. It is an augmented sound, and you can also use the paddles here to control the 6-speed auto. And I have to say, the noise is not bad. I mean, fake noises, you know, are easy to make fun of, but if you do it correctly, I think it's actually okay. I will say that the paddle shifters are a little bit too slow to respond for me. I pull the paddle and it doesn't do anything. And then, you know, with only 6 gears to choose from, I kind of wish that Lexus had done or used their 8-speed or their 10-speed automatic transmission. You can feel the car actually downshifted there to give you some engine braking. And then if you want to, you know, switch the drive mode here into normal, I'll just go ahead and put it into normal. If you swipe over here, you can go into like an eco or custom mode. This is the way most RX drivers are going to drive the car anyways. And I have to say, the dampers get a little bit softer, the steering gets a little bit lighter, the engine fake noise also quiets down, and it just cruises along. And that's the thing about this being a hybrid. At low speeds, when you're in bumper-to-bumper traffic, it will cruise along on electric power alone. So that's nice for when you need to save some fuel or not use the gas engine when you're stuck in traffic. And I have to say, the last one that I tested didn't use the electric only portion as much as this one does. So I don't know if Lexus has made some improvements there, or perhaps because this is an actual production car instead of a prototype. I found myself cruising along more in EV only mode, which is great for improving that fuel efficiency. The visibility is also pretty good out of this car. I can see out of the front, the side, the rear. I love that digital camera rearview mirror. You have Lexus Safety System 3.0 as standard with a camera that watches your face. It has traffic jam assist. I've driven this car about 300 miles in the last 2 days, and I have to say it has been an excellent long distance cruiser. Combine that with these excellent F-Sport specific leather and ultra suede seats that hold you in place very snugly, but at the same time the padding is nice and soft. The heat and ventilation function also works well. I just wish Lexus offered massaging seats on this car. I think they should, especially at the top end of the price range. And then let's talk about the fuel economy, because this car is rated at 2728 mpg, and in my week's worth of testing I averaged 26.5 mpg. That's actually the best mpg that I've gotten so far with this like hybrid max powertrain, although Lexus technically doesn't call it that. On the highway it did around 27 mpg if I kept the speeds below 70, but if you increase the speeds above 70 it'll go to around 25 mpg. So in the city it actually got a little bit better. On the highway it will do better if you keep the speeds below 70, but who honestly does that in today's day and age? Everybody intends to drive fast. Combine that with a 17-gallon fuel tank, and the trip computer was showing just shy of 400 miles of range, like 380, 375, something like that. Not excellent. For range, the 350H is going to do roughly 500 miles of range. Same thing with the 450H Plus. So you are paying a penalty by going with the 500H. You're going to get around 10 mpg less versus the 350H. Is it worth it? Well, that depends on what your priorities are. If you must have the quickest accelerating RX, this gets to 60 about 2 seconds faster than the 350H. So that's definitely worth the extra fuel economy penalty if you guys like speed. But if you guys don't really care that much, I mean, 7.2 is not exactly slow. You'll get 35 plus mpg, and that could be the model you want to go for. But also keep in mind this is the best handling RX ever because of the F-Sport dampers and the rear wheel steering. This is the only model of the RX to get the rear wheel steering, and it really does shrink this car and make it feel a lot more nimble. So yeah, overall Lexus truly has developed an RX for enthusiasts. I'm not entirely sure enthusiasts are going to realize that, which is probably why you're watching this video. So if you guys do have something like a Sporty sedan, a mid-size sports sedan, you're looking to get into an SUV and you want to stay in the Lexus family, you should definitely put this RX 500H F-Sport Performance at the top of your list. So with just over 114,000 units sold in America last year, the RX is still one of the best-selling vehicles that you're going to find, the best-selling luxury vehicles that you're going to find. And really, Lexus was just about 1,000 units shy of their best sales year ever for the RX. So it's no surprise to me that the company is doing well with the RX, because after spending a week with basically the best handling and quickest version of the RX, there's a lot to like about this new model. As you guys saw, 0 to 60 in the mid 5-second range is actually surprisingly quick. It's about as fast as something like an MDX Type S, although if you're looking at like a BMW X5, the BMW is going to be quicker than this vehicle. The interior also coddles you in luxury. You expect that from Lexus with the comfortable F-Sport seats. It has a wonderful infotainment system. It has really high quality materials, a great sound system. It has a decent sized back seat, slightly small trunk area in terms of maximum cargo, but again, if you're looking for, even more space, Lexus will sell you a TX, which is a much bigger vehicle. In terms of the handling, this is where the RX 500H really surprised me, because it actually feels light on its feet. It has relatively responsive and direct steering. The suspension still is a tad on the soft side for like limit handling, but I think that it's great, in terms of balancing that ride and handling, comfort there. And remember, this is still an RX, so people expect it to have a plush ride quality, which it does, even on 21-inch wheels. And it will, again, surprise you when you attack your favorite back road. And also the looks of this thing. I'm a big fan of this car's design, especially in this copper crest exterior color. I kind of wish that Lexus would expand the F-Sport handling package to other hybrid models besides just the 500H, because really the biggest disappointment for this car is the fuel economy. I mean, yes, 26 mpg is fine. I want to say it's probably 5 mpg better versus the non-hybrid 2.4 turbo, but I haven't had a 350 gas-only version of the RX for a full week, so I'm hoping I can get a hold of one of those and test out the fuel economy differences. Really, the range also at just under 400 miles could be better. I think Lexus should either improve the fuel efficiency or give us a bigger fuel tank, or make this a plug-in hybrid. If this offered like 450 horsepower with a bigger battery pack and around 30 to 40 miles of range, that would definitely make this thing even more enticing, but also would increase the price, which brings us to, of course, the pricing. Because if you want to get your hands on an RX, the model starts at essentially just under $50,000 for a base 350. That's a base model, of course, with front wheel drive. If you want a 350h, which is the cheapest way to get into a hybrid, that's around $52,000. However, if you want the 500h, this is technically, you know, the best handling and most powerful and quickest version of the RX, but it's not the most expensive. This model starts at $64,100 for a base 500h F-Sport performance. They essentially come well equipped, minus, you know, some of the contents of the luxury package, which is more expensive. I just had the plug-in hybrid, which starts at around $70,000. This model here, of course, with the options that it has, such as the technology package, the convenience package, the Mark Levinson stereo, the premium triple beam headlights, the panoramic sunroof, the copper crest color, plus destination, all in this car comes in at just over $73,000. I know, $73,000 is a lot for an RX, but if you're going to compare it to some of its rivals, like a Genesis GV80, for example, I also just drove that vehicle. The Genesis, also for the V6, essentially, model, which would compete with this car, starts at around $73,000, goes up to over $80,000. A BMW X5 is also around $68,000 for the 6-cylinder, going up to well over $80,000 with options. So Lexus does have some value here. It just, again, doesn't necessarily mean it's the most prestigious because it's built off of a front-wheel drive chassis, but if you can look past that, what you get here is a really comfortable, stylish, high-tech luxury SUV that will surprisingly put a smile on your face when you put your foot down and when you find it, or when you attack your favorite back road and find some corners. Well, with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2024 Lexus RX 500h F-Sport Performance. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.